Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Devika from the Gynae department and my topic is ectopic pregnancy. Now, what is ectopic pregnancy? Ectopic pregnancy is fertilized ovum is implanted and developed outside the normal uterine cavity. What is the incidence? Incidence is 1 to 2% of the reported pregnancy. But ectopic pregnancy is the major cause of early pregnancy related death. Now, what are the chances of the ectopic pregnancy? 95% of the ectopic pregnancy implant in the fallopian tubes, and there are the different sites there are the different and various sites and frequency of the ectopic pregnancy. Most common ectopic pregnancy occurs in ampulla, that is 70%, followed by the fimbrial 11%, ovarian 3%, ischemic, that is 12%, and cervical ectopic pregnancy is very rare, that is less than 1%. Now, what are the factors which are responsible for causing increased incidence of ectopic pregnancy? Greater prevalence of sexually transmitted disease, especially the chlamydia infection. Diagnostic tool with improved sensitivity, we can decrease the rate of ectopic pregnancy. And secondly, any pathology related to fallopian tubes also increases the chances of ectopic pregnancy. Women with delayed childbearing and the use of assisted reproductive technology, increased intrauterine devices and any tubal sterilization are also responsible for causing ectopic pregnancy. What are the risk factors? Prior ectopic pregnancy, 7 to 13% increase in the likelihood of another ectopic pregnancy who has a history of previous ectopic pregnancy. Prior tubal surgery, smoking more than 20 cigarette smoking per day also increases the chances of ectopic pregnancy. Prior sexually transmitted disease with confirmed pelvic inflammatory disease by laparoscopy or the positive test by the chlamydia trachomatis. Now, what are the other risk factors? 3 or more spontaneous abortions, age more than 40 years, prior medical or surgical abortion, infertility more than 1 year, prior use of intrauterine device or history of multiple sexual partners. Now, what are the further sequelae of ectopic pregnancy? First of all, tubal rupture can take place. Mortality is directly related to the severe hemorrhage from the tubal rupture. What is the timing of tubal rupture? Depends on the pregnancy location. Earlier, if implantation is in the ischemic or ampullary portion of the fallopian tube, leads to early tubal rupture, and later within the interstitial portion. Rupture is usually spontaneous but can also be caused by trauma such as associated with bimanual pelvic examination or the coitus. What else? It can cause acute ectopic pregnancy and the chronic ectopic pregnancy. Acute ectopic pregnancy are those with a high serum beta HCG level at presentation and rapid growth leading to an immediate diagnosis. This carries a higher risk of acute ectopic rupture pregnancy. Chronic ectopic pregnancy which demonstrate the static or the negative levels of beta HCG, minor repeated ruptures or tubal abortions, incites an inflammatory response that leads to the formation of pelvic mass. What else? What other are the sequelae? Tubal abortion, that is the expulsion of the products through the fimbrial end. This tissue can either regress or implants in the abdominal cavity. With reimplantation, bleeding or pain, necessitation surgical intervention is the common complication. Spontaneous resolution, small ectopic pregnancy die and they are absorbed without the adverse patient's effect. Now, what are the signs and the symptoms? The clinical triad of the ectopic pregnancy is patient have a severe abdominal pain, amenorrhea and the vaginal bleeding or in the form of spotting. Unfortunately, only about 50% of patients present with all these symptoms. Patient may have the early pregnancy signs such as nausea, breast fullness, or they may have painful fetal movements, dizziness or weakness, fever, vomiting, flu-like symptoms, or the sudden fall in BP and sudden syncope. Now, what are the signs that is suggestive of a surgical emergency? Patient will come with the abdominal rigidity, guarding, severe tenderness, or there may be a sign of hypervolemic shock. Now, what are the signs we see in the patient. On pervaginal examination, uterus may be slightly enlarged or may be normal in size and the soft. Uterine and cervical motion tenderness may suggest peritoneal inflammation, and adnexal mass may be palpated on either side of the uterus. Now, how will you diagnose? First of all, we will do the ultrasonography, visualization of an intrauterine sac with or without fetal cardiac activity rule out ectopic pregnancy. Transvaginal ultrasound can be used to visualize an intrauterine pregnancy by 25 days post ovulation or 38 days after the last menstrual period. Now, how to diagnose the ectopic pregnancy? Whenever an empty uterus on transvaginal sonography images is present in patient with a serum beta HCG level greater than the cutoff value, is a diagnostic of ectopic pregnancy. The discriminating zone of beta HCG is the level above which an imaging scan should reliably visualize the gestational sac within the uterus or in the normal intrauterine pregnancy is as follows: 1500 to 1800 levels of beta HCG with transvaginal ultrasonography, but up to 2300 milli-international unit per ml with multiple gestation is the value of beta HCG. Now, in a normal pregnancy, usually the beta HCG levels doubles every 48 hours to 72 hours until it reaches 10,000 to 20,000 milli-international unit per ml. In ectopic pregnancy, the beta HCG level usually increases but not get doubles. Absence of an intrauterine pregnancy on a scan and when the beta HCG level is above the discriminatory zone represents an ectopic pregnancy or a recent abortion. Now we'll go for laparoscopy. What are the criteria standard for diagnosis? Routine use of all the patients should be done in ectopic pregnancy because laparoscopy reduces the chances of morbidity and cost, and laparoscopy is indicated for patients who are hemodynamically stable patients. And the level of the serum beta progesterone is also very important. A value of serum progesterone 5 nanogram per ml or less indicates a non-viable pregnancy, whereas a progesterone value of greater than 25 nanogram per ml excludes the ectopic pregnancy with a 97.4% of sensitivity. Now, what we will do? We can go for dilatation and curettage. If we obtain a tissue, endometrial tissue, and that is positive for villi by floating in a saline or by the histological examination on frozen on the permanent section, then a non-viable intrauterine pregnancy has occurred. In the absence of villi, the diagnosis of ectopic pregnancy is made. Dilatation and curettage used only in cases in which continuation of pregnancy is not desired, even if it is an intrauterine GSAT. Now, what is culdocentesis? Culdocentesis is used very rare nowadays. It is basically performed by inserting a needle in the posterior fornix of the vagina, and attempt should be made to aspirate the blood. When non-clotting blood is found in conjugation with a suspected ectopic pregnancy, operative intervention is indicated because the likelihood of ruptured ectopic pregnancy is very high. Now, what are the differential diagnoses that may mimic the ectopic pregnancy? First of all, any abortion that presents similar to that of the ectopic pregnancy, so we should rule out the causes of abortions also. Now, how we will manage the case of ectopic pregnancy depends upon how early the pregnancy is detected and overall the condition. We should plan for the medical management and the surgical management and the expectant management. Now, what is the expectant management? Patient should be asymptomatic and they should have no evidence of rupture or hemodynamically instability. Approximately 1/4 of the women presenting with ectopic pregnancy have declined beta HCG level. 70% of this group experience successful outcome with close observation. Now, what are the indication of the expectant management? As long as the gestational sac is less than 4 cm or the initially beta HCG levels titers is below 1000 milli-international unit per ml have been demonstrated to predict a successful outcome in 88% of the cases. So what is the medical management what we can give? Methotrexate is the excellent drug that can be used in the ectopic pregnancy, and there are many other drugs which can also be used along with the methotrexate are prostaglandins, the progesterone antagonist mifepristone, traditional Chinese herbal medicines, and the potassium chloride or the hypoosmolar glucose injected into the ectopic mass. But the condition, there are the indication of the medical management. First of all, the patient should be hemodynamically stable with no sign and symptoms of active bleeding or the hemoperitoneum. Patient must be reliable, compliant, and be able to follow up. Secondly, the size of the gestation should not exceed 4 cm. There should be an absence of fetal cardiac activity on ultrasonography. No evidence of tubal rupture. Beta HCG level should be less than 5000 milli international unit per ml. High levels beta HCG, if more than 5000, that is contraindicated for the medical management. So what are the methotrexate treatment protocol? We can give the single dose of methotrexate or multiple dose. So methotrexate is the first choice of the drug, and it is given 50 mg per kg body weight on the day 1, and we repeat the beta HCG. After the first dose, the beta HCG should reduce by 15%, and we should get the beta HCG done levels on day 1, day 5 and the day 7. So if the beta HCG reduced by 15% from day 4 to day 7, then there is no need of the repeated therapy. But in case if the beta HCG doesn't fall by the 15%, then the multiple dosing of methotrexate is required. Like we can give 1 mg per kg body weight on day 1, 3, 5, 7 and 0.1 mg per kg body weight of leucovorin on day 2, 4, 6 and 8. And we can get the beta HCG level done every 48 hours, and we can compare the value. And what are the contraindication of the methotrexate? Methotrexate contraindication are the intrauterine pregnancy, hepatic renal dysfunction, hematological dysfunction, any peptic ulcer disease, active pulmonary disease, or the evidence of immunodeficiency. There are the surgical management also. We can go for the laparoscopy, and if the patient is hemodynamically unstable, patient with the coronal ectopic rupture, preferred method for the surgeon inexperienced in laparoscopy, we can go for the laparotomy. The conservative approaches are the linear salpingostomy, milking the pregnancy out of the distal ampulla. The more radical approach include resecting the segment of the fallopian tube that contains the gestation with or without reanastomosis. Linear salpingostomy, that is making an incision along the antemesenteric border to remove the products of conception. It is the procedure of choice for unruptured ectopic pregnancy in the ampullary portion of the tube. Segmental tubal resection. In ischemic pregnancy, in which the endosalpinx is usually damaged, these patients do poorly with linear salpingostomy with a higher chance of recurrent ectopic pregnancy. Total salpingectomy is the preferred method who has completed childbearing and no longer desire pregnancy. In a patient with a history of ectopic pregnancy in the same tube, or in a patient with severely damaged tube, the presence of uncontrolled bleeding and hemodynamically instability versus the conservative method. So what are the prognosis? Future fertility rates have been found to be similar in patients who are treated surgically by the laparoscopy or laparotomy. Salpingectomy by laparotomy carries a subsequent intrauterine pregnancy rate of 25 to 70% as compared to the laparoscopic salpingectomy with the rate of 50 to 60%. Thank you.